I am Devil Driven, and welcome to Team Leviathan Gaming's Starter Deck Budget Guide for Monsters. Before we jump into the video, the newest addition to the Starter Deck Budget Series and Crafting Guide was written and created by Nimrafel, Hippopotamus, Wasubi, Art Sharp, and the Kier. All information can be found in greater detail at teamleviathangaming.com/crafting. So this is the starter deck for monsters. We went with Gurnakora's ability. You're also going to need 1,150 scraps to get the cards that we added into the list. But Gurnakora's ability is really great. It's really beginner friendly Gwent. If you're just getting into the game, I highly recommend starting with this deck, because it's just a matter of playing numbers. You're going to play ones and then twos, then threes, then fours, and your board is just slowly going to ramp up in strength. It's really easy to play, and there's cards that the Yiz gets fruit, because every turn at the beginning of your turn you spawn a little 1 strength unit that can either A, grow every time you play a higher strength unit, or B, you could play it and kind of like sacrifice it with cards like Peugeot or Griffin, and it'll because these cards have like a negative effect on something on your side of the board, but if you play the fruit first, it just takes that damage for you. She's just a really easy leader to play, and just really powerful too, with the additions of Thrive and Dominance to the deck. First card we added is Carlo Verisi. He's just a really nice throw. You could plug and play him in every starter deck. He's 3 strength, 10 provisions. You have to play him on melee, and he does 1 damage for every card you have in hand. So if you play this on, say, turn 1 and you have currently 10 cards, you play him, you have 9 cards in hand, Carlo can do 9 damage. That means he's playing for 12. Really great card. He's also just a nice removal tool if you feel like there's something that's going to be on the board that your opponent wants to play, that it needs a turn to ramp up, like anything with orders. You know, you could remove it with Carlo, and sometimes you might not get the full 10 provisions, but you're denying your opponent value on an engine that they want to play. Really great card. It's just really starter deck friendly. Next card, Catchin. Catchin's another card where it synergizes with the Thrive archetype, meaning every time you play something bigger than 6, this card's going to jump up. It also has Deploy, spawn an Ekimara and summon it to this row, so it plays, you know, a 6 and a 2. It also has Death Wish repeat deploy ability, so even if you kill this, it still spawns another 2/2. Also too, if they do hit this card for, say, 5, it doesn't fully kill it, and every time you play a card higher than whatever they damaged it to, it's going to jump back up again. So damaging this thing is not optimal for your opponent, because you're going to be able to get that strength back, and even when they remove it, you're still getting a 2/2 Ekimar. The Catchin is just, it synergizes so well with the Thrive deck. It's just great in every archetype, because you're always going to have cards that are a little bit bigger than 6, and it's just a really tough card to move. Definitely, if you're going to play monsters, you're going to want to craft Catchin as soon as possible. Next card we added was Proto Flutter. Proto Flutter is a really great card. It's 4 strength, 9 provisions. It's a vampire. It has Deploy, damage an enemy unit by 3. So it's playing automatically for a 7 no matter what. And that 3 damage might be removing an engine. But if you have Dominance, meaning you have the highest strength unit on the board, and you have a lot of high strength units with Peugeot and, you know, Griffins and stuff like that, it will drain the enemy unit instead, meaning it's going to do 3 damage to it, and then it's also going to boost itself up by 3, so it's going to jump up to a 7, and it's also going to do 3 damage, so it's going to play for a total of 10. This card's really great, like I said, for removal purposes, and just getting extra value on having that Dominance synergy going with all the Thrive units that you have in the deck. So the next card that we added was Yacht. Yacht was added mostly to add consistency to Ozrel. Yacht's 10 strength, 8 provisions, but he has Death Wish. Your opponent summons the highest unit from their deck on the opposite row. So if they are able to kill this, they're also going to get a bonus out of it of pulling something really big out of their deck. So if they can kill it, that's great. If they can't, it's going to be a really good target for you. But either way, if they kill it, they're just making your Ozrel a lot better. Yacht's just a nice power play, big points, and it's going to more than likely thrive everything else on the board that has Thrive Synergy or Thrive Tag on it. The next card that we put in was Peugeot. Peugeot is a really great card as well, another Ozrel enabler. He's 10 strength, 7 provisions. He has Deploy, damage a random allied unit by 3. If there are no allies on the board, he damages himself by 5. The trick to playing this card is playing Grinacor's Fruit first. You hit the fruit, and Peugeot still stays at 10. If you play him with more units on the board, he's going to hit something for 3. He might hit something that has Thrive, and it'll still live, and then you can bump it back up with the more cards you play. But the ideal scenario to play him is with playing the fruit, hitting the fruit with Peugeot, and him staying on the board as a 10. He's just a really great card, and another Thrive Synergy card where you could play him, get big points on the board, and thrive everything else on the board. And he's an Ozrel enabler as well. Really great card. Next card that we added was Ice Giant. Ice Giant's just a big body, 7 strength, 7 provisions. It's more than likely, again, going to thrive everything that's on the board at that time if it has the Thrive tag. It's also an enabler for your ghouls, so that your ghouls play for 8s. They're just big points, that's all. They're just there to thrive the other units that are on the board with the Thrive tag. Next card we added was the Wyvern. The Wyvern is 3 strength, 5 provisions, Thrive, so every time you play something bigger than a 4 or higher, it's going to keep growing. Deploy, range, damage a unit by 2. So you have to play this on range in order to get the 2 damage. But it's just another enabler for all the other cards with the Thrive tag. You play some Neckers, then you play a Drowner, then you play a Wyvern. It just steamrolls from there. It's just a nice mini enable or possible removal tool. It's just gonna help ramp that board up for you. Next card we added was 1 Drowner. Drowners are pretty great. They're 2 strength, 5 provisions. They have Thrive, so you play a 3, it's going to get bigger. Next turn you play a 4, it's going to get bigger. And it also has a Deploy, move an enemy unit to another row, and damage it by 2. So it has multiple purposes here. You're damaging a unit, so you're getting value out of the card right off the bat. It's also able to move units that are row locked. Cards like Caleb, Trebuchets, you're able to move them off of that row and they can no longer use their ability. Drowner's just a nice versatile card, and it's another one that's going to fall in line with the Thrive tag to ramp up as you go. Really great card. The last cards that we added were the Necker Warriors. The Necker Warriors, they just they're 4 for 4s, so they automatically just play for their provisions, and they have Thrive. So once again, you play Neckers, then you play a Drowner, then you play a Wyvern, then you play a Necker Warrior, then you play a 5, then you play a 6 if possible, and you just steamroll as all these cards start growing in strength as you play them. It's just a nice, once again, ramp play for you to start steamrolling your Thrive engine. Next, I'm going to show you the cards that you get with Thronebreaker. Unfortunately, we couldn't provide a budget version for the Thronebreaker cards, but both of them are really great cards. So if you're a Monster fan and you plan on diving into the other factions, you're definitely going to want to check out Thronebreaker. So when you get Thronebreaker, once again, you go to the Thronebreaker tab under card sets, and these are all the cards you get for Thronebreaker, at least for the monsters and neutrals. You can look at all of them if you go out of the deck itself, and you can see more of the cards altogether. But the two cards you get with Thronebreaker, the first one is Celtius. Celtius is 9 strength, 11 provisions. You have to play her on melee, and every allied turn on end of turn, destroy the lowest unit on your side of the board. This is mostly designed for Araka's Queen. You can play, because even if you have more units than your opponent, you just destroy a 1 unit Araka's Nest, and then you spawn another one. But if your opponent has more cards than you on the board, you could start burning their cards up as long as this is on the board, and as long as they don't move it, because if they move it to the range row, she stops doing what she's doing. Celtius and the other card are mostly designed for Araka's Queen. Currently, the way Araka's Queen is set up, every time a unit dies on your side of the board, you spawn another Araka's Queen or Araka's Drone. She's just a really great card. She fits in with Aridin as well, as you can put a shield on her to possibly keep her from getting damage. As we mentioned, we really couldn't provide a budget-friendly version for Araka's Swarm or Araka's Queen, because a lot of the cards are just really, really expensive. The other card you get is Lusty Work. Lusty Work is an insane card. It's 3 strength, 9 provisions. It's destroy all units with 1 power. For each unit destroyed, boost self by 2. So if you are able to have a Varan warrior on the board while this is up, all the 1/1s on the board she kills, and then you respawn all those 1/1s, and then if you have Varan warriors on the board, for every unit that dies, the Varan does 1 damage. So each one of those 1/1s, it's also going to ping across the other side of the board for every unit that died. This is an insane finisher for monsters. If you're a monster player, I highly recommend you get Thronebreaker to get these cards for free. Eventually, too, if you don't want to purchase Thronebreaker, I would even recommend crafting these cards, because they're just so good, both of them, currently the way they're set up. Amazing cards. But that's the budgeted list for monsters. Check out Team Leviathan Gaming for updated meta snapshots and deck guides, and check this channel every day for new content. Thank you guys for watching, and good luck.